Welcome to Morning Infusion with Dr. V. Have you ever thought about being the CEO of an organization and lead during a pandemic? Well, my name is Dr. Viola Pierce. I'm the owner and the CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer, and the facilitator of Secret Suppers Worldwide with Dr. V, where our goal is to equip healthcare professionals to be spiritually and physically fit, financially stable, able to lead with integrity, to decrease error at the bedside, and in leadership to lead a full empowered life. Our goal is to come to you each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals, to show up exceptional on a daily basis. You can follow us on Twitter at the Nurse Nurturer, Instagram at VP Nursing, and if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can also visit us at our website at vpnursing.com. We have as a special guest today, Miss Pam Tripp. Pamela Tripp presently serves as the Chief Executive Officer and refers to herself as the Chief Encouragement Officer of Commonwealth Health, which is so true, so true. A large, comprehensive community health system operating in multiple counties throughout Southeastern North Carolina. Commonwealth Health has received numerous state and national recognitions during her 10-year tenure. Among these are Outstanding Rural Health Organization by the National Rural Health Association and the first community health center to receive the National Malcolm Baldrige Milestone 1 and 2 Presidential Awards, which is a quality award, guys. And so when you go to Commonwealth Health, just know that you will receive quality care because this apparently is a pretty hard thing to get. Commonwealth Health was recognized in 2018 as a best place to work in healthcare and modern healthcare. She is the creator of a transformational blueprint for organizational excellence, corporate transcendence. Ms. Tripp is the author of The Culture Cure, Transforming the Modern Healthcare System, and the accompanying Mastermind Resource Guide. Ms. Tripp has served as a mentor, teacher, speaker, and trainer for lifting people and organizations to excellence. She is the founder of Pamela M. Tripp Women in Leadership Scholarship at Johnston Community College. So thank you, thank you, thank you for joining us this morning. You are amazing, and I'm super excited that you're here with me. Yes. So tell us about yourself. Like, how and why did you get started in healthcare?
Well, first of all, Dr. V, thank you so much for having me this morning. And I followed you, and I'm so impressed with you and your work and what you're doing. But how did I get started in healthcare? You know, I was raised in a family of 4 girls and a mother who was determined that we would get some education beyond high school, further our education. And I was always the one who was looking after people, my grandmother and everybody, the one looking after the needs of others. So I think it was a natural progression for me to look at healthcare. And so I did, and I joined the community college thinking that 2-year degree was probably going to be okay and I'd be fine. That was 4, ended up with 4 degrees, but you know, you never know what life's going to bring. But I started as a radiologic technologist, and then I ended up teaching and helping form that program. I was the second person actually employed as a clinical instructor. I loved the education, and then I went to didactic, and I just love education. I love healthcare. I love the curriculum development of it, and so I was bit. You know, the body is an amazing thing. You know,
it is. It is.
Amazing. So I was pretty much bid, and I knew that healthcare was my goal in life.
Cool, cool. So now, what made you go into leadership? Like, what was the motivating factor?
After I worked as an educator for a number of years, and like I said, I love the education. I love the curriculum. I love the students. I love the development of students, the development of people, development of that program. And somebody come in without knowledge about something and then grow through 2 years and become proficient And you just see so many changes in individuals, how they grow, they develop personally, professionally. And so I loved all that. But as I worked inside the healthcare industry, I was a little disturbed. I felt like that I loved the great team that was there and how everybody was taking care of the patient and they had their own purpose and purpose. But I did not see the unity that you would expect to see within the walls of that healthcare environment. And so I think that's really what drove me. Instead of going up in administration through an educational system, I wanted to move back more full-time industry into that setting where I felt like what I had learned and grown and what my passion was, development. Why couldn't I develop inside that arena more, that organizational arena? And so that essentially, I went back full-time to industry and spent about over 13 years in the senior leadership team as a vice president. And then currently in the office I'm in now.
Sweet. I love it because, I really feel like, one of the things that I was taught during the time that we were trying to go through our magnet process was that, you have to be at the table as once you come from the bedside and you learn all you can and you grow as well as you can at the bedside, then you want to be at the table in order to make those high level decisions, in order to be able to influence. And one thing that I really appreciate is being at the bedside for so long and really understanding the perils, the crutch, what you have to go through at the bedside. And one thing that I really, really like about you is that that, and as we talked about before we came on air, as I admire the fact that you were just so warm and affectionate from the beginning. I wouldn't have known that you were the CEO of all these healthcare systems, but you tell the story about how you were able to turn the company around. Tell the story about that.
Okay. So be careful what you ask for because you know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so, that inner developing person inside of me and the love for curriculum, blueprint, organization, I knew if there are solutions to disease, we should have a solution on how to create a better workplace environment, a better culture to work in. And so, I was just driven by that. And so I had an opportunity to step into this position. Now, I always dreamed, because I had worked with culture in all my roles in the hospital and actually in the educational setting. And so I always dreamed that when I could really get in there and put this blueprint that I had developed into place, I thought it was going to be this, just a regular kind of status quo organization. But what I ended up seeing was I had the opportunity to step into an organization that had challenges in finance and quality and governance, and culture was toxic as it could be. And then I realized, be careful what you ask for. But then I thought to myself, what better opportunity? I looked at that and it was a hot mess. And I said, but this is what you wanted, right? Okay, right. Here's what you're handed. And so I took it, and I'll never forget a Joint Commission survey. Literally, it was only about 15 months or so, Joint Commission came back in the door. And, being in the hospital doing Joint Commission, I was like, okay, I knew it was a disaster. Okay. I knew we were going to go on probation, all this kind of stuff. And I'll never forget having lunch with one of the surveyors, and he looked at me and he said, you guys have been burnt to the ground. You must be living in hell. That's exactly what his words were.
Wow.
And it took me back a little bit. And what I realized in that, I already owned that hell. I had already owned it. So I said to him, I said, it may look like that now. But we're a rising phoenix.
That's right.
when I was going home, I was self-reflecting, and I said, why did that kind of almost offend you a little bit? He told the truth,
Right.
We're really trying to be empathetic, and and I said, because I had already owned it in my mind. I had already seen beyond the all the issues and the problems. I saw the potential. That developer and visionary saw the potential that we could become, and it far outweighed the situation we were in at that time. And so, that was, once I caught that vision, and knowing that too many people depend, on us.
Vision, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that all in itself, the vision that you have, especially as a leader of an organization, is so super important. Without vision, the people perish, right? And
Yeah.
you had a vision of your organization being very different, because tell how much debt you were given, because I want, and then how much you rose to. I just want to.
Well, at that time, we're I think around between 25 and 30 million dollar organization now. At that time, 10 years ago, it was 15. That was the budget. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And and every day that I worked in the first 60, 90 days, I said, oh, we have this debt too. We have this debt. The total ended out to be 8.4 million, which is over half of the total budget. And we were in negative cash flow. It was not a fun time. It was a tough time. It was a test of your leadership in each and every way. You had to realize that you were what everybody had. You were the symbol of hope. And but anyway, it was 8.4, and I'm happy to say that all that has been paid back. We did not file any bankruptcy or anything like that. And I knew there was a reason. I listened to Dave Ramsey for like 3 years when I was absorbing him. But anyway, so we brought it back. I didn't bring it back. We brought it back as my colleagues and I, and paid every bit of it, and no one lost one red cent. Everybody will in full, and that is a good feeling.
That is a good feeling.
And really, it was a little bit more than that, but that was on monthly installments, and for a lease on a building, at least to buy, and we wrapped that up too, and ended up. So we're double the size now, and almost double the budget. And that debt was paid off, and now we've gone from it wasn't even surviving in the beginning, but from surviving to thriving, and that's where we want to stay, regardless of what those external pressures come in, COVID or whatever. That's where you want to stay.
So in the beginning, you had to make some really, really hard decisions. Mm-hmm. So tell me, kind of how that made you feel at the beginning. Like, how did that make you feel as a leader of the organization? Because I think that it is really hard for people sometimes to see that leadership, and to see that those hard decisions are made, and to understand that. So just if you could let us know what those decisions felt like.
Well, as leaders, we own all the decisions, really. Leadership. I always say, if there's an issue or problem in the organization, look back to leadership. We hold it. We own it. It was tough when I came in. It was obviously with negative cash flow, and the first thing in the financial pie that you look at in the organization, it is salary and benefits compensation. That is the biggest cost. So the fastest way and really the only way to survive was to cut positions. First time in my life, I've been able to do up to that point, and mostly attrition, those type things, not rebudget a position. But this time I literally had to lay off. In 4 days, I laid off 30 people. And I always say, I laid off 30 people I did not know. I didn't have time to know them. They had families, they had children, I'm sure. That, that was their livelihood. And then in the end, of course, when things started going really south, we ended up losing a total of 80 people out of the organization.
Wow.
Because it was what it was. And actually, from their viewpoint, those that left, I really couldn't blame them.
Right.
We were in a transformation, and they needed to take care of their family and do whatever. That is the hardest thing. We were able to employ back some of those individuals.
Okay.
But in 4 days, when you come on the job and you're bailing water so hard, you don't have time to do those things, to sit down and have a nice conversation with people. And I pulled in everybody from all the departments, and it was heavy on those leaders too, because they had to help in making those decisions.
Gotcha.
And it was important to do surgical, removals, and not just throw the baby out with the bathwater. You had to be careful, because you could cripple the entire organization. It wasn't just a matter of going down names. You just had to really say, what can we live without right now?
Right.
And that is, I value, that's what I'm all about, is valuing colleagues and valuing their contributions. And I love to see the potential and development of people. So that was tough. And don't ever want to be, but due to poor leadership, when we do not have good leaders, those things can really jump on us. Now, COVID, people may have to close sites down, that's just a crazy COVID, I call it.
Right.
But pretty much you might have to adjust a little, but hopefully we're all able to hang in there and, prepare for those days that things like that may happen, so we're not caught off guard, and we're able to maintain that steady workforce, because we need them.
Right.
You can't do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, what is one of the things that you did that was very different, that changed the culture? Like, what is one of those things that you were like, because I think that it is culture, and of course, making sure that your key performance indicators, KPIs, as you say all the time, were there. So what are some of the things that you did to make sure that, you were bringing the organization back on, where it should be?
Right. I think the first thing, here again, it goes back to investment in culture and the development of a culture and organization. So in spite of how dreary that I did on the CEO communique, Chief Encouragement Officer communique, and for over 2 years, every day, I wrote to the employees. It was from me to them. And when I looked back on film and I saw some typo, I knew it was from me to them. But, so I was totally transparent. Nothing of any significance is ever accomplished alone, right? And
Right.
I needed them to refocus on hope and the power that they had within their hands. And I needed them to understand that I could not do this alone, that we together, we will move the mountain. We will move that mountain, and we can do it. And I learned about, oh my gosh, and so I was so excited, because for the first time I was able to put into play the blueprint for organizational excellence that I'd always wanted to do. And so while I was bailing water, we were working on those things. And I began to see, once the hope was restored, and people knew the facts, there was no hidden agendas. There was not anything, they became so engaged. It was almost unbelievable. They became, they were just like, we're going to do this. And I said, yes, we are. We are going to do this.
But I think that, that whole, letting them know that you care about how they feel, right?
Yes.
That's key. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yes.
Period. It's just what it is. And so I think that that's one of the things that you have portrayed. You portrayed it to me, and we didn't even know each other, initially. I was like, I like Miss Pam. So I think that that's super important. Now, what inspired you to write a book?
Oh my gosh. So I think I call it what they would call today in healthcare. That was my disruption book. That was the fact that I really came to realizing and looking at the wins that I'd had against such an adverse beginning in this organization. So while everything was playing out, I was learning so much about this is so good. How do we apply this to other organizations? How can we transform healthcare in America today? But I knew we needed to change a lot of the way we were thinking, that we had to really flip the paradigm. And I realized the things that I had done as a senior leader, where all we talked about was finance. This is my joke. All we talked about was financial situations and when Joint Commission was coming. Okay,
right.
That was not working. And you know what they say, you keep repeating the same thing, you get the same result. So
yeah, it's the definition of insanity.
And so I was tired of repeating that. And I saw that it didn't have to be repeated. And that this really, it was able to do this wonderful case study around that. And I said, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And this will work anywhere. And that's when, we joined the Malcolm Baldrige journey. And in 9 months got level 1. It was the craziest thing. And I said, gosh, I wish I'd done this a year or two ago. That was like I'd been there 6 years. And but any organization, and I would like to be an encouragement on that, no matter what obstacles you're facing or challenges, and there will be some, you can create an organization that their excellence tomorrow is greater than their excellence today. And you do that through the people and the culture. So, I'm living proof of that. And I've even, we have a gentleman in our organization that took this curriculum into his church, this blueprint. And in the last 5 years, we call that faith transcendence now. And so corporate transcendence. But
you're talking about Chris Van.
Chris Van.
Yes. I love me some Chris. Yeah. You tell him I want him on my show. You tell him, all right?
I think you should. And let him tell you about the transformation that took place in his organization. I mean, so it is relational leadership. And that is what leadership is about. It is not the feeling that you got to make everybody happy every day and sing Kumbaya. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with believing in people and their potential. Mine are diamonds in your backyard, as I talk about in the book. They're all there. We're not pulling it out.
Right.
It's all there. I'm convinced today I could go into. I said this to an audience one time. I gave them the scenario. I said, okay, you're in an organization. They got negative cash flow out to 15 days. You got all this debt, and I believe I could take every one of you in this room, and we could turn that organization around. And they said, you're kidding. I said, yes, because I didn't know anybody when I went into the organization I went into. I didn't know. They were from all walks of life and different positions and roles and responsibilities. And I said that, and it was a healthcare group I said that to. I said, the power is in you. The abilities are in you. The strengths and diamonds and the assets are in you. Now, we need you to help me. We need to help each other do something significant. And, we talk about strengths a lot in this organization and don't talk about weaknesses hardly at all. I mean, I don't even, because weaknesses are not important. I mean, we all have strengths. I want to know what my strength is and what my strength is. And so we can put all these different combinations and put this puzzle piece together and make a great picture.
Because your strengths are very different than somebody else's strengths. So all those strengths coming together and all that diversity really brings the organization to. And that's one thing that I remember that was a key thing that I remember talking to you about. And that I heard you say, and I was like, yes. I'm going to start focusing on my strengths as opposed to my weaknesses, because my strengths, if I build on my strengths, then I can be better. And I think that a lot of times we as people, I don't care who you are. We focus a lot of times on our weaknesses,
Yeah.
when the reality is that we should focus on our strengths. Now, who is someone who has been most influential in your life, and why did they have such an impact on you?
I do believe that um, having good parents is one of the greatest things you can have.
Yeah.
Not that my parents, we lived in luxury or anything like that. It wasn't that. My parents, my daddy was such a hard worker. My father, who's almost 91. My mother was they instilled into us strong core values, and the value of faith, of God. You had to go to church if you wanted to do anything else that week. So
It is not an option.
and you just cannot underestimate the power of that family. The power of family and that pouring in and investing in integrity and doing the right thing and holding you accountable. And so the strong work ethic that I saw, and loving people. I was raised in more in the country, rural setting, a lot of agriculture, and we were all on this. Everybody was the same. It didn't know no matter what house you lived in or who, they were all your neighbors, and that's how we treated each other. When I really look back on my life, where I think I'm thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
It made me stronger. And when it came down to making hard decisions, I knew where to go for those. I had my faith. I had my faith. I had my integrity, and I always filter my decisions through those core values.
Gotcha.
And I think we need to do that as individuals, as leaders in particular. We need to know who we are and what we stand for, and not let other people define us.
That's right.
But we all need to define ourselves.
That's right. That's right. That is key. That is key. You probably need to say that again. We don't need to let others define us. We had a going away party for one of our employees yesterday, and her name is Natalia, and Natalia is absolutely phenomenal. And one thing about Natalia that I said is that whenever she comes into the room, she changes the temperature of the room. She doesn't come into the room and let the temperature of the room change her. That is key. That is so key. And she's such a light. She's so light and bubbly. I absolutely love her. And so I think that that's so important as it relates to who we are as leaders. Now, what are some things that you wish you had known as you started out, when you started out?
Oh my gosh, there's quite a few of that. I wished I had realized that, many years ago, that culture was more important. Culture is people, and it's more important than finance. Because if you get the culture right, then the financial comes along, and the quality and all those other things. I wished I had known that years ago, what I've learned through the years and I put into place. That it's important to put the oxygen mask on our colleagues first.
That's right.
So they do their job their very best. Feeding colleagues with policies like a fire hose does not work.
That's right.
And if we really want to get quality outcomes, for our patients, and that's why we all came in here to do, is to help people get better and have better life, then we have to look at the people who take care of them. So that's priority. Culture, people are priority. I wished I had realized that more when I was beginning my career than I do today. And it's so true what you said, Viola. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
That's right.
That is so true. And then simplify leadership. I'd say if there's another thing is, don't get caught up in 10, 12 pillars of whatever. Simplify it. And I work out of what I call 4 trees of transcendence. And that's where I work every day in my head. And it's culture, quality, finance, and governance. Culture being people, quality being systems, how our system is working. And finance is just making sure that we're good stewards. And then 10%, governance is at the end. And I concentrate on culture, quality, and finance 30% of my day. That's how I like to bring my day. My agendas are around that way. I teach that with my leadership management team. And then 10% is governance, which is all the mandates will do, must do, should do. And I found out, I wished I'd known this earlier, that if we flip that paradigm that I worked out of so many years, and we put culture, people first, and then make sure 30% of our time is spent on people, quality, finance, then governance is taken care of.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. So my name is Dr. Viola Pierce, owner and CEO of VP Nursing and the Nurse Nurturer. And so we will be coming to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time to give you the fuel to crush your goals and to show up exceptional on a daily basis. You can follow us on Twitter at the Nurse Nurturer, Instagram at VP Nursing. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also visit our website at vpnursing.com. You guys have an amazing day.